Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a Subculture palette tutorial and kind of walkthrough of how I get the shadows to work for me. I got a lot of requests on how I get the shadows to work for me. As you probably know, a lot of people, I'd say the majority of people, had a lot of issues with this palette. This is what it looks like if you haven't already seen it. And you can probably search this palette anywhere on YouTube and see a whole bunch of crazy reviews of how the fallout was crazy, it was super patchy, just like people had some crazy problems with this palette. And I actually really like this palette. It's one of my favorite palettes of 2017 that came out in the year of 2017. And I've gotten a lot of questions from my Instagram posts of how I get it to blend and how I get it to work for me, pretty much. So I do see the problems that people talk about with this palette, how it's like super pigmented and there's a lot of fallout and all of that. Like I can totally see all of the problems and issues people are having with this palette. And I thought it'd be kind of cool to kind of have like a little tutorial using this palette and then showing little tips and tricks that I use to make it work and blend better on my eyes. So yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing today here. I'm probably gonna recreate a look that I've already done using this palette before. I'll pop a little picture of the eye look right here so you can see it. So if you're interested in seeing that, just keep on watching. And if you don't wanna miss future uploads, then make sure to subscribe down below. And all my Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, all of that will be down below. Also, everything is at TESSA, and let's just get into the tutorial. So to start off, I just prime and set my eyes just like I would any other day with this palette. I used the Tarte Shape Tape and then I just set it with translucent powder. So first, as kind of a transition shade, I like to use the color Dawn, which is right here, and Edge right here, and I'm just gonna mix those a little bit. I think this is probably the most important tip to take from using this palette is when it doesn't matter what kind of brush you're using, I literally just tap. I'll show you how I would tap into it. So just that little tap, that's as much as I'll use on my entire eye at one time. I won't tap into it multiple times. I won't swirl my brush. I usually don't swirl my brush in any shadows. It's just like not how I put my brush in shadows, but I know a lot of people do. So I just find like tapping it once into the shadow is enough product, and then you'll get the smallest amount of kickback doing it that way. And then if you just need more product after that, then you can just go in with another tap. So I find using this palette, it's best to just use a tiny amount of product at a time and build up slowly. That helps with fallout and it also helps with getting it all messy all over your eyes because these are super pigmented shadows. So I'll show you again. This is how I'm going to tap into Edge. I still have the Dawn on my brush. I'm just going to tap right into Edge. And then you can see this is how much it's coated my brush with just 2 taps total into the shadows. And then even then, I'll still take my brush and I'll tap it off just to get the excess product off. And I'll just go in and I'm just going to put this throughout the crease. So now that we kind of have like a little base going on, I'm just going to go in with Edge by itself. And again, I'm just going to tap into it once and start on the outer corner and go throughout the crease again. I just tapped in once with my brush a total of 3 times, and this is what it looks like. So again, I just feel like working really slowly in small portions with this palette is really helpful. Now I'm going to go in with a bit more of a tapered brush. This is the Morphe M433, and I'm going to be going in with New Wave, which is a little bit more orange than Edge is. And again, just tapping in once. So that's what my pan looks like after just tapping in once. And then there's Edge. And as you can see, I've used this palette many times and it almost doesn't even look like I've barely used the shadows. And that's because I'm literally just tapping in and I'm not swirling my brush at all. And so these shadows, just a little bit goes a really long way. So I'm going to be taking New Wave and I'm just putting it a little bit deeper into the crease. And that was just one dip into the pan and it's pretty much covered my entire crease. And another problem that I think that a lot of people are having with this palette, I think Stephanie Nicole talked about this in her Subculture video, but say for instance you wanted to mix Rowdy and Edge here, which is kind of, this one's a yellow tone and this one is a purple tone. If you mix those together, it's gonna muddy together and make a brown, and I think that's a problem that a lot of people are having with this palette, is just like muddiness happening. And that's because of the complementary colors in this palette and they're trying to blend them and mix them, and it's obviously creating a brown because that's what happens when you mix those colors. So when I'm doing eye looks with this palette, I try to stay away from basically blending those two colors together. So I will be going in with Rowdy today, but I'm not going to be blending it up right into this orange yellow area because it's just going to make like an ugly brown color. So I think that's something to note if you're trying to use this palette and you're trying to come up with looks, just trying to place the colors in a way where you don't have to blend those together. So now that I have the crease pretty much finished, I just have New Wave and Edge in my crease now. I'm going to go in with, I'd say, kind of the more difficult part of using this palette. Because these are so pigmented, they're almost kind of a more dry formula, I guess I'd say. So say I'm gonna end up going in with All Star and Rowdy here, and they're gonna go on my lid. And if I just went in and packed them on my lid and didn't put a base down, they would start to get a little bit patchy. I've tried that before and they do get a little patchy. They'll start to dust away. And I think it's because they're kind of like pure pressed pigments in the pan, and so they're just a little bit more dry naturally. So I always like to put a base down. I do this with even palettes where you don't necessarily need to put a base down. I find putting like a sticky base down just makes it last a lot longer. The colors are so much more vibrant, and it just looks a lot better and it applies a lot better. So I'll always just put a base down, whether it's gel liner or, you know, an actual eyeshadow base. But to start off, I'm just going to end up putting All Star, which is this color here, and I'm just going to start patting it all over my lid, not putting a base down yet. And for this, I'm going to use a Makeup Shack T51. So right now I'm just kind of creating like a base layer to know where I want this color to kind of go. So I'm just basically going to pat this over my lid all the way up to my crease. Okay, and as you can see, these colors need to be blended together in my crease. So I'm going to take the color Roxy and then probably a little bit of New Wave again, and I'm going to blend the All Star color with those in my crease. And again, even in the crease, just using a patting motion rather than a swiping motion can kind of help the colors not muddy together, and then it can also help not have any fallout. So this is the point where I'll kind of go in with a base. Today I'm going to be using the Anastasia waterproof cream color in the color Jet. It's just a black one. Obviously you can use whatever color you want depending on the kind of color scheme you're doing. But I just know that if I go in with Rowdy here, which is what I'm going to do next, if I just try to place that over the All Star color, it's just going to kind of dust away because there's already that powdery base down, I guess. So I just need to put down a sticky base in order for Rowdy to show up true to color and just, you know, not dust away. And for this part, for this look at least, it doesn't need to be clean or anything. I'm just going to basically set it down by the lash line because that's where most of Rowdy is going to go. And then I'll blend it up a bit so there's no harsh lines. And I find most of the looks that I like to do with this palette are kind of more gradient looks. That way you don't have any chance of the colors muddying together. Because if you work kind of in a gradient, then they should all blend together seamlessly. So now I'm picking up the color Rowdy, and I'm just going to place that right over top of the black base and then slowly blend it upwards and just tapping the whole time. And now that Rowdy is on top of the base right there, then we can go back in with All Star and we can kind of blend it back onto Rowdy. So now I've been sitting here for the past 5 minutes just blending this one eye. I haven't even put the base on this eye yet. And I just want to say I don't want to act like this palette is like super easy to use if you use these tips. These are just tips to like help you out a little bit if you do want to make this palette work for you. I can definitely see all the problems people are having with it. And it does take me a little bit longer to use this palette if I want to, especially doing like a smoky eye type thing like this. I want to do kind of a look like this today because I know people have a hard time packing on a lot of color or having the color get really crazy using this palette, so I thought this would be a good look to do. But I just want to say that this palette does take me a long time to blend and I have to be really patient with it. So definitely keep in mind if you just don't want to deal with that at all, maybe this isn't the palette for you. But with that being said, I'm going to go back and do this eye. I'm going to put the base on and all of that, and I'll be right back. Okay, I pretty much finished blending up the eyes, and I just want to say that I did add Love Letter from Modern Renaissance palette. I just feel like this is a really good shade to pair with All Star. All Star can come off really dark on your eyes. I actually find that most of these colors in this palette come off a little deeper on my eyes than they look in the pan. So to blend All Star with kind of the lighter yellows and oranges in the palette, I find Love Letter is a really good color to go with it to blend it together. So now I'm going to move on to my face makeup. I did a poll on Twitter and most people said that they did want me to do the face makeup if it was like more just a focused eye tutorial, but to always do my face and eyes. So let me know if you feel differently down below. I don't want to make videos longer if I don't have to, but it seems people are interested on what I'm putting on my face, so I'm going to show you. So I'm just going to be mixing these two Makeup Forever primers. They're both the Step 1 primers. This one is the brightening one and it's the light pink color, and then this one is the smoothing one. I'll just put the smoothing one right where my pores always are, which is my T-zone pretty much. And then I kind of put the brightening one a little bit all over my face. I just put like a couple lines on my face. I know I'm kind of late on this whole like subculture thing, but obviously I just started my channel and people are still asking me about it, so I hope you guys aren't sick of hearing about subculture yet. For foundation, I'm going to go in with Maybelline Matte Poreless, and I have the color 118 Light Beige, which is too dark for me. I am quickly starting to realize, I don't know if it's because it's like the dead of winter and I'm just getting paler obviously, but all of my foundations are too dark for me, almost literally every single one of them. I have to mix a white mixer in with every single one of them. I'm not going to today because I'm not going to be wearing makeup too long, so I just don't care that much. Or I'm just like in denial about how pale I actually am. If you guys could let me know what kind of things you want to see on this channel, I would really appreciate it, because I guess I'm kind of torn between if people want to see more like creative things, kind of like the whole splatter thing, or if people want to see like review type things or just like glam natural tutorials. I just don't know what kind of things people want to see on YouTube. So if you could let me know down below what type of things that you would be looking forward to, I would really, really appreciate that. Okay, let me just say, I know a ton of people like this foundation. I absolutely hate this foundation. I'm pretty much using it just so it will go away because I don't want to throw it away. It looks awful on my face. It brings out all of the texture in my skin, which I have a lot of it, and I have oily skin, and I mean a couple hours into the day it looks like an oil slick. It looks absolutely terrible. And since we're just using face products that we hate today, I'm going to go in with the LA Girl Pro Concealer in the color Porcelain. I hate this concealer. Another thing that a lot of people like, the applicator is absolutely awful. I hate it. And I just feel like it doesn't look that great under my eyes, but we're going to use it today to get rid of some product. And then for powder, I'm gonna use a powder that I actually like. This is the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Powder, and I have the color Fair. This has become my favorite under eye powder for baking and all of that lately. I think it's really nice. It's really brightening and it's super fine and it doesn't dry out my under eyes. And then to both bronze and contour, I'm gonna go in with the Too Faced Milk Chocolate Bronzer. It looks like this. I think this is a good bronzer because it's not too warm, not too cool, and you kind of just bronze and contour in one. I'm going to finish the lower lash line. I'm pretty much just going to mimic what I did on the top. I'm going to put a little bit of All Star closest to my lash line and then smoke it out with some of the New Wave and Edge, like the warmer colors. I'm also going to line my waterline with the Thrive Causemetics Infinity Waterproof Eyeliner. This is just a good waterline eyeliner. It doesn't last all day, but it lasts long enough. So first I'm going to go in with All Star. I'm going to use the Makeup Geek pencil brush. It's just a tiny little pencil brush that's good to pack on color on the lower lash line. Then I'm going to go in and mix New Wave and Roxy and just blend that right below it. And again, I'm connecting the New Wave and Roxy that we have on the top here, and I'm kind of just dragging it down. And then for a little pop of brightness on the inner part of my lower lash line, I'm going to go in with Edge, which is that more yellow color. And I'm just going to place it right on the inner part. Alright, the shadow is pretty much finished, or it is finished, and I'm just going to put on some mascara. This is the Tarte Man Eater mascara. And then this is usually the step where I add setting spray, so I've been using the Kiss Pro Touch setting spray. And then after I put on setting spray is when I like to add my highlight. Today I'm going to use Dripping in Gold, which is by Anastasia, and it's from the That Glow kit. And to apply, I'm going to use a Makeup Shack T38 brush. And in the look that I'm kind of recreating today, I did put a little bit of electric in my inner corner, which I think I'm going to do today. And I did want to talk a little bit about the shimmers in this palette. So there is only 3 shimmers, which is this one, and this one. This one called Adorn is the only shimmer in the palette that I actually truly like. The other 2 are kind of weird for me in my pan, and I'm not sure if this has happened to a lot of other people, but they kind of have a hard pan, so I'll show you, and I'm pressing pretty hard right now. And that's what comes up, and it looks really pretty on my finger, but once let me see if it swatches. Once I swatch out my hand, I mean, it kind of looks nice on camera, but in person it's just super underwhelming. And then same with Cube, which is the other one. So it's kind of like a duochrome pink color. It's just, they kind of have a hard pan so that not all the pigment comes out on your finger or on the brush. So I just wanted to note that in this video since we're talking about subculture. But I'm still going to pop a little bit of electric in my inner corner because I think it's kind of a cool contrast with the rest of the colors. And I'm going to use a Luxie 141 brush. I mean, that's digging into the palette right there and you can see virtually nothing. I'm going to show you digging in to the pan right here. This is me swirling and pressing with the brush. And you can see a little bit of product, but it's just, the pan is just kind of hard and the pigment gets stuck in there. And now that I've done that, you can see I get a little bit of a highlight. So I think that's just something to note about the palette also. Okay, I'm going to apply some false lashes off camera just to make it a little bit quicker. I'm going to use one of my all-time favorites. This is Dubai by the Makeup Shack. Okay, while my lash glue is drying, I actually just added a little bit of the Urban Decay Heavy Metal Liner and Distortion. It's just like a little glitter liner, and I added it on top of electric here and then a little bit on the very inner part of my lower lash line because that's what I did in that look that I'm kind of recreating today, so I thought I would do it again. And I think that glitter liner looks really, really good over the electric color. Alright, and lastly, I'm going to add a lipstick. This is the Liquid Lipstick by Anastasia in the color Rock Sand. And, you know, I don't think I've ever tried this color yet, but it just seems like a good nude. Okay, wow, this is a good color. I don't know why I haven't worn this yet. Alright, and this is the finished look. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope my little tips and tricks kind of helped you figure out how to use this palette if you already own it, or maybe it helped you decide whether you want it or not. If you want me to do more tutorials or looks using this palette, please let me know down below in the comments. I would be happy to, and I do have a lot more ideas of how to use this palette, so I would be happy to do that. But maybe people are over the whole subculture thing at this point, which I kind of think they are because it was such like a huge topic for such a long time. As always, please leave video suggestions down below. I would really, really appreciate it. I find it's a little bit hard for me to think of video ideas right now because I just really don't know what people want to see. And also, again, you can follow me on Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram, all at TESSA. It'll also be linked down below if you want to go follow me there. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.